Hydration packs. There is no celebration for dehydration. I want to give a big thanks to Jensen USA for sponsoring this video. Jensen is a leading online retailer and they carry all the hydration packs that I talk about in this video. Speaking of those packs, I've got links to them in the description below, and anything you purchase from those links over at Jensen will help keep videos like this coming your way. Thanks in advance for doing your online shopping with my pals over at Jensen. Beyond Jensen, I'm also supported by a few other industry companies. Big shout out to P&W Components, Industry 9, and Shimano. Beyond that, I want to let you know I did personally buy all of these hydration packs myself through Jensen. I'm not paying full retail as I am doing quite a bit of work with Jensen, and we don't talk about price in this video, so it's not going to affect anything, but I do want to let you know all the nitty-gritty behind the scenes. And with that, let's jump into the video. Beyond otter pops, sunburns, and the occasional grease fire in the old family barbecue, summer means a ton more daylight and therefore longer rides, where carrying some essentials is a good idea. However, I'm not here to tell you to wear a backpack on every ride. Personally, I often forego a pack completely for most of those morning ride vlogs. But there are definitely those longer, more memorable adventures or those scorcher hot days where a comfortable pack makes the difference between a miserable slog while seeing spots or an amazing day on the trail that makes all the rest of your worldly worries disappear. After all, there is no celebration for dehydration. In this video, I'll do a quick comparison of 4 packs that I recently purchased myself. Like an overly caffeinated Extreme with an X version of Consumer Reports, I've learned a lot about these packs, and it's my job to tell you what's great about them and what's not so great. Keep in mind, hip packs are also popular, especially for summer riding, but I've been preferring backpacks. If I do land flat on my back, I want to have the protection afforded by that bladder and padding. Furthermore, I don't want my pumps positioned perpendicular to my spine. I'd rather them parallel to at least have a hope of not breaking myself as badly. Here we've got 2 bigger units, the Camelback Mule and the Usui Airborne 15, and 2 smaller packs, the Osprey Synchro 5 and the Usui Vertical 10 Plus. I don't carry a ton of stuff, but here's roughly what I bring when I don't forget anything. A spare 29-inch tube, a pump, a shock pump, Allen wrenches, a multi-tool. If I look to the heavens and see gray clouds of turmoil, I'll pack a waterproof jacket. If I'm going more remote, I'll grab some small Gorilla Tape, a spoke wrench, maybe consolidate the Allen wrench to just one multi-tool, some extra trail mix and energy bars, and if it's a fitting location, a water filter. What you don't have to carry, but if you're trying to yell, "Hey, look at me" on the internet like I often do, it means I'll need to carry at least an audio recorder and a GoPro gimbal, heck, sometimes even a drone and a spare gimbal battery. If you aren't trying to show the world how great you are at mountain biking, you can forget the audio-visual gear and instead bring some sunscreen, bug spray, and some sort of emergency locating device. Let's look at the 2 smaller packs first. An osprey is also known as a fish-hunting bird of prey. Much like that bird, this pack soars in the air above your back and was perhaps the pack I was most looking forward to seeing in the wild. Using. And it's by far the most comfortable for seated riding. The small pack can barely fit my minimal pack contents, but the external pouch works great for holding a thin jacket. The Osprey branded bladder and nipple are all made for Osprey by another brand called HydraPack, and they work as they should. I do always feel like I'm breaking the bladder when I go to fill it, but I think with time that'll fix itself and I'll just get used to the design. Routing the straw takes a bit of creativity. It leaves behind the rider's left shoulder, but my best experience has been to have it cross over and go down the right shoulder, then up through the sternum strap, and the magnetic clip will actually hold it then. Otherwise, the magnet isn't quite strong enough and it starts flapping around. On the bike, the way the back panel is made allows for great ventilation and doesn't feel like you've got last week's Caesar and Parmesan salad pushed up against your back. However, the waist strap is minuscule, and the Synchro bounced around on my back by far the most of all these backpacks. At times I noticed the pack would whack the back of my helmet. This is especially noticeable on steep downhills or on jumpy trails, and I've noticed this on everything from the small Fox Speedframe and Troy Lee A2 to the larger Giro Tyrant and Switchblade helmets. Now, the external helmet carrying device works as it should, though I don't really condone riding without a helmet on your head. But for travel purposes, I can understand this. Final verdict of the Osprey, it's a great minimalist option for less aggressive riders, especially those in humid or hot environments. Originally born in Sweden, Usui Vertical 10 looks strikingly different from traditional hydration packs. As Sweden is known for its herring and music, it's also home to some amazing motorcycling. Some moto guys hated how their old packs would flop around on their backs, so they came up with the crossover strap system and promptly gave it an acronym. In practice, this is a very different pack than the more traditional Osprey. It has a bit more internal carrying capacity, but the external cargo system is a little bizarre. Much like the US, it's divided into two very different segments, the left and the right, and they seem to have very little to do with each other. As a matter of fact, I've been struggling to connect these two, and maybe you can relate. When storing things inside the Usui, there is no real separation between the bladder and the contents. I am legit concerned that my Allen keys will puncture that bladder. Speaking of the bladder, it uses a slightly smaller 2-liter unit, which is made by the same company that makes Osprey's bladder, Hydra Pack. Usui's big claim to fame is that there is no dancing monkey on your back. The X-strap system seems to resist the smaller bumps and motions really well, but I have found that these packs will move quite a bit on the bigger impacts. I've become so accustomed to the smaller movements that I don't notice them as much, and when the pack suddenly moves on a bigger hit, it's a little disconcerting to me. The traditional packs seem to tab more predictable, but that could also just be me with my own experiences. With the lack of an external compression system, it seems like the small Usui here has some content sloshing around inside that might be creating that pack moving feeling. I really appreciate the ease of putting on and removing the Usui. It's quick. It uses a Hydra Pack bladder and hose, and that stuff is really well made. The straw on the Usui is a little bit more flimsy than on the Osprey, but it works without issue, even if it might stick out at an odd angle. Neither the Osprey Synchro nor the Usui Vertical 10 have hip pockets. This isn't the worst, but it means you have to fully remove the entire pack should you need to dig that pepper spray out to fend off the attacking cougar. In reality, I'm sure it'd just make a large carnivore laugh watching me flail my way to spraying myself in my own face with the pepper spray. But still, I'm a fan of hip pockets. As I mentioned, the internal organization of the Usui is limited, and even worse, there's no key ring that I've found yet. Final verdict of the little Usui, it's a good option. It has a comfortable, unique feel, but it will be a little bit better for cooler or less humid environments. For those that carry softer stuff, this is a great pack. Heck, anyone who's taking the pack off and on a lot, like a parent carrying snacks for their kids, will really like the Usui. Now we're on to the big boys. I prefer this size, as if I'm gonna use a pack, it's usually because I have a ton of stuff that day. The 14-liter Camelback Mule compares closely to the 15-liter Usui. With my history of using Camelbacks, it felt like I was at yet another McDonald's, and everything from the Big Mac bladder to the hip pockets to the side compression strap McNuggets were all right in their usual place on the menu. But again, just like a Big Mac, while the bladder was good, it's certainly not great. It's quite a trick to get the full bladder into the pack, and the screw-on lid has to be properly tight to seal. The Camelback nipple design will leak fluid if it's contacted by anything, and not switched off by that giant manual lever. Once we're beyond that, the pack is mostly great. The stiff back panel provides decent protection from your junk. There are hip pockets, as well as the soft pocket for sunglasses on the top. While I've used these Camelback bladders for years, I gotta say, I am preferring the Hydra Pack derivatives. The main drawback to the Mule is that the back panel can fold over itself at the bottom, and then that crease pushes directly into your spine. I think I actually need to bring more stuff to avoid that. Or maybe the pack just needs to break in more, or maybe I should fold it the other direction with some clamps on it for a couple weeks and see if that fixes it. We'll see. Camelback includes a little tool roll, which is nice, but I never seem to use those as the internal pockets are simply easier and faster to get to. Final verdict on the Mule, it's a great simple pack. I trust the Mule and enjoy it for its size for most 3 to 6 hour rides. I like the way it only moves around a little bit in smaller impacts, but stays well put during the larger hits. The Usui Airborne 15 has a lot going for it. It's generally more comfortable than the Camelback, and the separation of pockets is handy. However, the way to cinch down the external compartment is a little bit clunky, and the cargo can bounce around quite a bit. Heck, the whole pack bounced around quite a bit. The way this pack fits me isn't quite as good as a traditional pack, but it's also faster to put on and take off. Once again, parents that are bribing their kids with gummy worms and gummy bears to get them on the trail, definitely consider a pack like this that's got an easy off-on. On the flip side, you don't have any hip pockets with the Usui. That means that those gummy bears are gonna have to either be in your pocket or the entire pack's gonna have to come off. While I generally really like the Camelback, I'd love to find a good alternative. I wanna try another couple Osprey packs as I feel their design has fantastic potential. With Usui being a new player to the market, I expect them to be aggressively improving their packs over the next few years. I'd also like to try some Dakine and even some Evoc models as well. Camelback's done a fantastic marketing campaign about when was the last time you bought a new hydration pack. And you know what? I'd like to ask all of you, how old is your current hydration pack? Many of us are guilty of using ones that are a dozen or so years old and have some pretty old technology in there. Well, they've come a long ways since then. While you certainly don't have to have a fancy hydration pack to enjoy mountain biking, it definitely comes in handy for those longer rides. If you guys enjoyed this video, I'll see you in the comments down below. Hit that red subscribe button, and whatever you do, keep smiling. Peace.